Hi, this is Christine with Sanford Pelvic Therapy, and joining me today for this video is Carissa from Sensate AF Pilates. She's going to be my demonstration assistant for this video. We're going to be talking about sensate work, so sensate activities. There are a lot of people who have anxiety and worry and have had past traumas or other emotional issues around being touched, and so that can get in the way of connecting with our partners, either just on a daily or also when we want to have sex or do other fun things like that. So we want to take out some of the stress of that by learning how to feel comfortable being touched and learning how to be touched without judging ourselves and our responses to that touch. It's also great for any couple to do together, I believe, because even though you might not have pain or anxiety or worry during intercourse or sexual activities or physical touch, many times we have a lot of busyness in our mind, and it's hard to really focus on the feeling that our body is having and what our body is sensing during activities. When my kids were young, I remember it would take me a while for my brain to quiet down to actually start feeling what my body was feeling during fun times. So like 10-15 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I'm here now. My brain is like finally, getting on board with my body, and not thinking about all the, all their schedules and what they have to do, and what I have to make sure they do for school and what's for dinner and what's the scouting activity and this thing, and oh my gosh, I forgot to order soap. I don't know, all the things that are in your brain. I don't have little people now, but I do run a business, so I still have lots of activities in my brain. And so being able to really let yourself feel what your body's feeling and be more present in the moment can be helpful for any person. So Carissa's going to lie down on this table, and we're going to do this completely clothed, which is, I feel, a great safe way to do it and a great starting place if you really have a lot of stress and anxiety and negative feelings about being touched, right? So being touched with clothing on to start is a great way. I'm going to share a handout that you can download about the steps to take. And that handout starts a little more advanced. So it actually starts nude. So we're touching each other nude. And some people need to even dial down from that to starting with clothing on. The rule of the sensate work, especially during the very beginnings and through most of the sensate work, is sex is off the table. So even if you're starting without clothing on and you're touching each other, there's zero chance of sex. And so that is taking that pressure completely off the table. All right. And even in the beginnings, when we're starting without clothing, we're not touching genital regions, we're touching other areas, and sex is off the table. So we're not, even if we feel like, oh, this feels great, we would like to go farther, we're not doing that. That's against the rules of the game, and because then it puts pressure on one or both of the partners to decline that or say yes to that, and that's not what this is about, right? So of course you won't be talking as much when you're doing it at home, right? But we want to verbalize the things that are happening, right? So Carissa is just going to tell me what she's feeling in her body, not in her emotions. So when I touch a place, she can describe the touch. You don't have to do this as the receiver. So when you're the receiver, you're the person being touched. When you're the giving the touch, that would be myself at this time. And you will take turns, because people also need to learn how to touch other people. So it's not just about being touched, but learning how to touch other people without judgment of, is this good or bad, right? So if I touch Carissa on her foot here, she can describe something about the way this feels. So what do you think? What do you feel? What does your body feel? Okay, it tickles, right? Yeah, right. And then you can also use descriptors in your mind, like that is soft, that is slow, my skin feels right tickly when I'm being touched like that, or it's scratchy because you have a little callus on your finger. Like you just want to let your body feel the actual sensations that are happening. I might take her foot and squeeze it, right? What do you feel when I squeeze your foot? Is there
That's a good pressure
descriptor?
I like the pressure.
So yeah, so it feels like pressure. So I want you to try not to tell yourself whether you like it or not. That's hard, isn't it?
It is. I'm like, keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Right. So I want you to think more of just feeling, because you're not going to have to tell your partner what you're feeling, right? So it's hard to verbalize sensations sometimes, but I want your brain to just feel the feeling and try to feel it and notice it. Try to be very curious, right? Oh, what does that feel like? What part of my body is feeling that? Is that warm? Is it cold? Is it deep pressure? Is it soft pressure? I might just lay my hand on this person and they can take time to feel how my hand warms up their skin, right? It's not good, it's not bad, it's just a sensation. So that's really the challenge of this activity, is taking out the judgment of a physical sensation out of being touched, right? So somebody who maybe has some anxiety about being touched, either because of past things, their nervous system is kind of ramped up, maybe when they usually get touched, it's always leads to sex, and so they have pain with sex, and therefore they don't want to be touched. They start disassociating from the touch. They don't want to be involved in that touch because it leads to something they don't find pleasant right now. But just being able to feel what the feeling is without making it a bad or a good feeling. We may have had experiences in our life where society or families or just we've had messages that enjoying being touched is bad or shameful, so that can bring up feelings. So we're trying to move away from our feelings and into our senses. The person touching can change up and touch you all different kind of ways, right? Outside of trying to hurt you or something. The person touching is in charge of how they touch you and what they're doing. So I can move fast like this. I can just use little finger pressures. I can go really, really, really slow. It's also nice for the person that's touching to do the same thing where you're not judging what you're feeling when you're touching someone. So I might notice, like for me, I haven't shaved my legs in a couple of days. I might notice when I run my hands down this leg, it feels scratchy. Right? That's not bad or good or anything. That's just what it is. I'm feeling that. Or I might feel, oh, this skin right here is smoother than this little patch of skin. Right? Or this part of her leg is warmer than this other part of her leg right here. And this feels more bony, right, over the knee area. And this is softer and squishier and has meat and muscle on it. So practicing touching and being touched and learning how to feel what you're feeling physically, not what your like inner thoughts and judgments are about what we're sensing. I guess that's what I should use, the word sensing versus feeling. So our senses, right? Our sight, our sound, smell, taste, touch. We're using touch in this case. Our sense versus our emotional feelings. And the person touching might do this for about 15 minutes. I definitely recommend doing it for more than 5 minutes. So about 15 minutes or so at a time, and then you will trade places. Much shorter than that, it takes your nervous system a while to be active in this method and to relax into the activity, because probably, a lot of people that are doing this have anxiety or negative feelings about being touched, and that's why they're doing it. So it can take a little time for your body to get used to it. So just like 2 minutes or 5 minutes is not long enough. If you feel overwhelmed, you can let your partner know either to move down the extremities or, away from one certain area, right? But we want to try to have curiosity about it first to decide if we really need them to stop or not. But we're not trying to increase your anxiety, and you can absolutely just stop the activity if you need to, either person. But I would recommend trying to do about 15 minutes, and then you're going to switch positions, and then the other person is touching. So that's really helpful for those that have difficulty being touched. You might want to start as the giver and the toucher. Right? You're have a little more control of what's happening. So if you're the person with some worry about being touched, you might start as the person touching the other person. Okay, and that's the basics of sensate work. You would slowly move from clothed to maybe underwear and a bra or other clothing that's covering your genitals, and then you might move to completely nude but not touching genitals, and then you might move to touching genital areas, right? You might move forward from that to adding like an oil or a lotion. So we're touching, we're still not going to be having sex. That is like part of the whole process, is not doing that. So we're taking that complete pressure off of that. You can remember for later what felt good and repeat that at another time, but not during this activity. And it's so important to have that as a hard rule, and both partners agree to that, because then we can focus a lot more on what our body is sensing and not where that's going in the future, or what's going to be happening next, or is this going to lead to something else that I either want or maybe I don't want. So if one person's like, oh yes, this is getting exciting, I would like that, maybe the other person doesn't. So, it takes all that pressure off of this activity. Do you have any questions about this activity?
No.
Okay, that was pretty fair. All right, excellent. Thanks so much for joining us for this part of our February Valentine's Day for those who might have pain or anxiety around intimacy. And thanks, Carissa, for joining us.
You're welcome.